What is up, Dodgers Nation? We're excited about this one. This one's a little bit different because usually you get the full-blown host experience from this man, but you know what? Deep down, he's always going to be a true Dodgers fan and analyst. SportsNet LA superstar John Hartung on the phone. What's going on, buddy?
Man, Clinton Brook, it's an actual true honor to be on with you guys, and I certainly appreciate that introduction. That was very kind of you, sir.
Yeah, we've been working on our introductions pretty heavily during this quarantine period. We've had some time.
Just staring in the mirror. Yeah, too much time, man. So opening day this week, obviously, just the excitement was in the air even for Sunday night's first official exhibition game. I think it was extremely palpable online. Everybody was thrilled about that. How excited are you to finally start talking about meaningful games again?
You know, the closer we're getting, the more excited I think we're all getting, because when summer camp first started, there was a little bit of hesitancy still, especially with some players expressing a little bit of doubt. You know, even Mookie Betts saying he's not, super confident this thing's actually going to work. But when the test results keep coming in with positive news, I'm really excited now that we're going to have a baseball season, not just a start of a season, but I think we might go the distance now. And to me, that's the most exciting part, because I know everybody out there has been starving for live sports to come back, especially Dodger fans wanting their Dodger baseball, and it's almost here.
Yeah, I mean, we got Mookie Betts this year, man. We really needed our baseball this year, especially coming off those World Series losses. But John, we appreciate the hustle, man. I feel like every time I turn on the TV, you're there in some way, shape, or form, bringing new content. I mean, really, during these strange times when everyone's just sitting at home looking for something, it seems like you've always been there. But people just want to know, man, do you live at the studio? Because I think I see you on 24/7 now.
Well, during the shutdown, we actually did shows twice a week, and they encouraged us to not be there very often. So normally on a work day, I would show up a good 4 hours before the show and do a lot of writing, a lot of prep, and talking to producers and going over certain video clips. But for these shows during shutdown, I did a lot of my prep at home. I showed up and slapped a little makeup on, talked to my producers, and went and did a show. So I actually haven't been there all that much until recently, once we started doing the intra-squad games, and now that we're getting ready for the season. I basically do live there now, and there won't be a lot of days off, game days off. When there's a game that's on national television, other than opening nights, we don't do pre- and post-game shows. So the games on Saturday and Sunday against the Giants, we won't do pre- and post. So I'll have a rare weekend off. But other than that, I'm pretty much there all the time from the start of spring training until that final out in October, whenever that is.
And I think it shows, because you guys just picked up, what, 6th, 7th, 5th? I don't know the numbers. It's getting so high, but Access Sportsnet Dodgers picked up its way too many and way very much earned Emmy. So clearly you can see the effort that you put into the show. So another thing, congrats on that to you and the team and everybody involved. But as a fan, as people who watch you guys every day, we appreciate the effort that's very much apparent that you guys put into that show.
For sure.
Well, that's very kind of you to say, and I'm glad you guys do appreciate it. And I know me, first and foremost, I grew up a huge Dodger fan. I was born and raised here and grew up in Woodland Hills, and product of LA Unified, went to Taft High School. So I've been local grown guy. And so to me, the Dodgers have always been my love. So it's easy for me to put my efforts into it every single day and to have that passion for what I do. But we have such an incredible group of people behind the scenes, very experienced people, and they're just so talented. And then the guys that we have on the air as well. I mean, you watch them every night as well, which is such a great group, a great mix with Jerry and Nomar and Ned and Oral and Alana, and sometimes we'll bring in some other people for guest appearances, like Chase Utley was with us a few times last year, and Sean Green and Steve Garvey as well. So it's been so much fun for me. It's been kind of a dream job.
Yeah, there really is not a weak spot on that team you have over there in El Segundo. Knowing obviously that was another one of the big reasons why I was like, okay, I need to get this guy. I mean, you've been in the homes of faithful Los Angeles viewers for years and years now. But everybody, I think enough people know that you are a Dodger fan. You've grown up a Dodgers fan. really to get more of your perspective on it, and you're looking at this team, knowing what you know about the history of the team. This 2020 team is an incredible looking team. On paper, have you ever seen a better baseball squad?
I can't recall seeing one going into the season, to be honest with you, because when you look at this team from the start of spring training and even now, you don't see a weakness at all. And that is so incredibly rare. Most teams go to spring training and they have a lot of hope and thinking, okay, maybe we can win a pennant this year and contend for a World Series, but we still have our question marks. I didn't really have many question marks at all with this Dodger team back during the spring. And I don't have many really right now, to be honest with you. So it's just a matter of going out there and guys performing the way that we know that they can perform. And gosh, it seems like a slam dunk to at least make it to October through a 60-game sprint. And then we know what can happen in October. Really anything can get crazy at times.
Yeah, it's weird when you look at even losing David Price, who everybody had. You had extremely high hopes to see what he can do, come into the National League feeling better, working with this coaching staff. Obviously, it's a different animal, but losing somebody like that, you could just you go and plug in a 2018 All-Star in Ross Stripling, or you mix in, I don't know, Dustin May, who's looked disgusting through this camp. So it's really, man, I think we're all very, very excited for this particular team and this particular ball club.
It's an embarrassment of riches in a lot of ways, is it not?
Yeah. I definitely take it for granted sometimes when I'm thinking about it. But we were talking to Jock Peterson the other day, and he was like, talking about the outfield. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I mean, you look in right field, and you got Mookie Betts, who's a perennial MVP candidate. You got Cody Bellinger, perennial MVP candidate. He's like, and then you just have me in left, who just hit 30-something bombs last year. He's like, not to mention the fact that you got AJ Pollock, who's an all-star candidate all the time, sitting around ready to go, and then you got Chris Taylor, Kike Hernandez ready to go when needed. It's kind of ridiculous just across the board.
When you look at their 26-man roster, I mean, if you had counted David Price, you would have had 13, half of your roster. They've been all-stars at some point in their career. And that's kind of ridiculous when you think about you have that many all-star caliber players on your roster and some other young ones coming up who haven't been all-stars yet, but they will be at some point very, very soon.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So getting into a little bit, just to kind of, everybody has their own different story of this. Everybody has their own different memory. What would be John Hartung's all-time favorite Dodgers memory, either, working around the team or just personally as a fan?
Well, this one is going to be the easiest of all, and you guys will agree with me once you hear it. But when I was a teenager, I was dating a girl whose dad and mom had season tickets to the Dodgers, Lakers, pretty much everything in town. And they had planned a trip to go to India. They planned this probably in the spring of 1988, but they had planned it for October. And so when October 1988 rolls around, the Dodgers are making this incredible run to the playoffs, and they go to the World Series, and my girlfriend's parents were in India, and they left 4 tickets behind for my girlfriend and her sister. And so I got to go to games 1 and 2 of the 1988 World Series. So, yes, I was a teenager there for Kirk Gibson's home run. I stayed for the whole thing. And then I was there the next night when Oral Hershiser threw what he calls the greatest game of his life. So, and there's nothing that tops Gibby's home run in many baseball memories for anyone ever.
Yeah. I mean, John, talk about right place, right time, man.
and I guess right girl, right time, right there.
Yes, that was it.
A little bit of everything.
Certainly the case. I kind of lucked into that one, but that experience is something that I will never forget. And anytime I see a huge eruption or an exciting moment at Dodger Stadium, it always takes me back. I was also there the night Juan Uribe hit the home run against the Braves in the division series, and that was one of the only things that I could really compare to Gibson's home run, although Gibson's was a walk-off, but just the electricity I felt in the stadium that night, and it felt like an earthquake. I mean, the entire building was shaking. And when I was there for Gibson's home run, I was in the very first row of what used to be the club level. Now those are the suites. And it felt like the entire stadium was just rocking and shaking back and forth. It was absolutely nuts, and it didn't stop for a long time.
And now we have no crowd.
We have crowd noise. We've got cutouts of people, but we don't have actual people sitting in the stands.
A few days into this, what are your takes on this? I guess sort of, we'll call it an alternative the cutouts, the noise, thankfully we got DJ Severe and Dieter Rule there, which just helped fill out the room, but greatly, by the way. But yeah, what do you feel about what's going on?
When we started broadcasting the intra-squad games a couple of weeks ago, it was really difficult because they didn't have Todd Lights there. They didn't have DJ Severe there yet. There wasn't the crowd noise. And we were all sitting around in between innings, and Jerry and Ned and Oral, all of us talking like, oh my gosh, this is really awful. But as they improved the experience at the game with the crowd noise being piped in and with DJ Severe and the walk-up songs and Todd Lights announcing it, it started, at least from where we were sitting in the studio and listening on a headset, it started to feel from our end like it was an actual baseball game. It wasn't until the cutaways of the empty seats that we truly feel like that there was a lot missing from the experience. But I think it has gotten better, and I don't know what it's like for the players out there because I haven't been out at the stadium yet to experience that end of it. But from the television standpoint, and this is what, this is where fans are going to be able to get their Dodger experience this year, is strictly through the television. I think they're trying to make it as realistic as possible.
Yeah, you talk about having Todd out there calling, doing the announcements and everything like that. I mean, watching it, you obviously know there's something different. You know there's going to have to be something different this year, but I thought they did a pretty good job of it yesterday. When I was watching, I was like, okay, yeah, like
this feels good.
I can feel it, yeah. And you're right. From
I think there was a moment when someone pressed the wrong button, and the Max Muncy had a bloop double, and
there's a boo. Yeah, it was like, you got to react pretty fast in that moment. I'm sure it's a couple buttons like boo, happy,
I hope
sad.
Someone had a walk-off home run for the Dodgers, and then there's booing.
Just booing across the board. I'm actually looking forward to those bloopers big time. I can't wait to see how that plays out. John, we're looking ahead to the season. There's a lot of things that could happen in a 60-game season. Obviously, you talk about standings and playoffs and everything like that, but we also want to look at the awards that come with it, because there's in 60 games, really anybody can get hot, anybody can take off. So I want to know, on this Dodger squad, who's your dark horse MVP candidate? Who do you think could find a way to just run away with it?
Wow, a dark horse. I mean, if I didn't pick a dark horse, I would take Mookie or Corey Seager. Corey Seager's not a dark horse, right? Since he was top three as a rookie. Top three as a rookie. So I would say no with that. That's the problem when you have a team full of stars. How do you find a true dark horse to be an MVP candidate? Because you could say, Jock Peterson, if he continues to hit a bunch of home runs, but still he's somewhat of a part-time player. Corey Seager wouldn't be a dark horse. Justin Turner, maybe, would you consider him a dark horse because he's 35?
There you go. Age-wise.
He's certainly capable of getting red hot for a couple of months and putting up huge numbers. And that's the thing. We joked about this the other night on the air. Someone has a great 6 weeks. All of a sudden, they're a legit MVP candidate in this shortened season. And I said, Ned, even Jerry had a hot 6 weeks. And I chimed in and said, but they were spread out over 2 years.
That was a fantastic sequence, by the way. That's the stuff you can't write.
Beautiful.
So, it's hard for me to really pick a dark horse to win an MVP award. But I could pick dark horses to win Cy Young in a 60-game season, because you mentioned earlier Stripling being an all-star in 2018. And I went back and I looked at it yesterday. He had a 60-game stretch in 2018 where he was 8-1 with an ERA of 2.01. That would be Cy conversation, at least. The year before, Alex Wood had a 60-game stretch from game 32 through game 92 where he was 9-0 with a 0.87. Alex Wood would have been the Cy Young over that 60-game stretch.
Easily,
so something like that could absolutely happen in this shortened season. So I think there's a lot of people. I think the Cy Young is going to be wide open because pitching can be that way, where pitchers get hot for a couple of months, and even hitters can get hot for a couple of months too. So it's as wide open as it will ever be.
I'm excited to see how it plays out. We've talked about I've heard it talked about everywhere, but the possibility of having like a 400 hitter and how that plays into the record books and things like that. And I'm just really looking forward to see what kind of weird video game numbers we can come up with in a 60-game season.
I would love to see somebody flirt with 400 just for the sake of seeing that happen, because it's been so long. And I'm old enough to remember when George Brett and Rod Carew were flirting with the high 380s and 390s late in a season, and that was really cool. But they didn't have social media and as much media attention back then as they do now. And I would like to see what that's like. Now, granted, you're not going to have the same media attention now because of COVID-19. All these guys will be, socially distanced away from the media and doing Zoom calls for their media questioning. So I would love to see that. I would love to see somebody flirt with 400 and get to the middle of September.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild. I mean, think about the 1 month of 400 we got out of Cody last year, and just the insanity that happened online with that. So if it's a real air quote full season in 60, yeah, we're gonna see something weird, crazy, and I'm thankful for it.
I am too. I think it's gonna be exciting. I really do.
On the flip side, we know this Dodger team is as good as they are and have had the successes they've had over this 7-year run because of their depth and the ability to kind of outlast anybody else out there, especially in the National League. Looking at the sprint brings really the field a lot closer together. If we're doing predictions here and being slightly more on the negative side, just for the sake of it, what's one thing you think could possibly go wrong for the Dodgers in 2020?
The one thing that could go wrong would be injuries. But maybe the starting rotation. You know, if I were to have any kind of questions, and like I said earlier, I don't really have any questions about this team, but if I thought something was going to go wrong, you know, Alex Wood's back flares up again, or Julio Urias doesn't quite realize the potential in his potential breakout season for him, you know, something like that I think would have to go wrong. But we saw it just a couple of years ago, and granted, I think this team's a lot better than the one we saw 2 years ago, but you know, that team 2 years ago after 60 games would not have made the playoffs. The Nationals team last year would not have made the playoffs, and that's your last two National League pennant winners. So sometimes you can still have the talent and not have injuries, and guys just aren't playing all that great. They get off to a slow start. They go through a rough couple of weeks or so, and then all of a sudden you're in trouble in a 60-game season. Right. And I think that's the only thing that I would be worried about is guys just hitting some kind of a lull. Now, having said that, Nomar was saying the other night, all these guys, they realize going in, when you have a 162-game season, the guys say, oh, you know, it's a long season, we'll be fine. Even Dave Roberts will manage things a little bit differently. But in a 60-game sprint, you're going to have a greater sense of urgency, and he thinks it's less likely that they would have some kind of a lull or some kind of a slump like that. And I agree with him.
I hope so. Yeah, during a 60-game season, there's, you know, we've talked about it so much that, you know, historically the Dodgers maybe aren't the fastest out the gate all the time, not every season, but, you know, anything could happen. And you talk about injuries as well. You know, the fact that 2 weeks into a season, if you have an injury flare up, that might mean you miss the majority of the year, and especially in the starting rotation. The good news is, though, we got about 35 starting pitchers out in our organization somewhere. I don't know where they're at. They're all over the place, but we got them
everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. Before we let you go, we know you have more magic to go and put together out there in the studio. But since he's a friend to all of us, it's always something we got to get input from people on. What, in your opinion, is the most annoying thing about working with Jerry Hairston Jr. on a day-to-day basis for so many months of the year?
How long do you guys have for this podcast? How long are we looking at here? Is that the most annoying thing? Well, I will say this about Jerry. The very first time that I met him in the studio, he came in and introduced himself to me, and he said, I just want you to know I need you to talk trash to me because I'm going to miss having that camaraderie with the guys in the clubhouse. And I said, I have no problem talking trash. I mean, I remember Jerry as a player. This is the guy who squeezed the most out of his talent. He'd be the first one to tell you that. I think the most annoying thing, and I don't even know if it's annoying because I don't take him seriously, but if Jerry was half as good as he thought he is or was, he would have been a Hall of Famer. But I don't know if he truly believes that. But he's the same way on the golf course. I play with him on the golf course all the time. And if you follow him on social media, he'll only put the times he makes a birdie putt or hits a drive or something like that. He never puts the times when he's searching halfway up the hillside for his ball and picking weeds out of his socks and things like that. But I've seen that side of him. But no, Jerry's a good friend. He's a great guy. I don't take him too seriously. We have friendly banter. And I know some fans have reached out on Twitter and they'll at me and they'll say, hey, Jerry, how come John's being so mean to you on there? And it's just part of the fun that we have. And Jerry can take it. And that's why Nomar and me and Ned and all of us, we like to ride Jerry because he's an easy target and he brings it on himself.
A great Jay Harris story he told me, I think it was at FanFest this year. He said that you were accusing him of cheating. I guess he hit a ball out of bounds, but it was in a construction zone or something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
And I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I was gonna say, okay, Jay, it's not out of bounds. If you don't want it out of bounds, if you can hit it and play it and hit it to the hole, whatever you do, you boo. But I'm pretty sure Hartung's right here.
It was a dirt lot where they were getting ready to build a house, and there were the enormous white stakes right there on the right side of the fairway beyond the rough, where it was clearly those are the OB stakes, Jerry, and his ball was way over there, but he found it on this dirt lot where they're getting ready to build a home. And so he just played it off of it. I didn't say anything to him about it. It wasn't until after the round when he said, "What'd you shoot?" And I said, 78. And I said, "What'd you shoot?" And he said, "Oh, wow, I shot 80. And everybody just looked at Jerry like, 80? And even Nomar was like, "Wait, what are you talking about? There's no way you shot 80. He had like a couple balls out of bounds. You did this." Anyway, so that is a true story. He did play it out of bounds, and he didn't care, and so I didn't care either, and that's fine. That's just the way Jerry is. And ask Jose Vizcaino, by the way. If you don't believe me, ask Jose Vizcaino about Jerry's math skills on the golf course. He will tell you.
You know what, John? I think that's got to be the next series we're producing, is just you guys on the golf course battling it out. I don't think we could get any more better content.
Jerry, Nomar, me, and maybe Visky. If you got the four of us out there, that would be a hell of a foursome.
Yeah, you
to follow.
Yeah, I mean, that's one hell of a live show to me. I don't know.
We'll make that happen. We're gonna follow you guys out there, and I mean, I might bring a club or two with me. But John, we appreciate the stories. We appreciate your time. Keep doing what you're doing, and keep going out there and earning these awards that you guys deserve. Dodger fans really, really do appreciate everything you guys do.
Clint and Brooke, thank you guys so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun, and hopefully we have a great season here in 2020 that ends with some kind of a parade. I don't know what a parade would look like, but I hope there's some kind of a parade come late October, early November.
Whatever it looks like, I'll take it. I don't care.